Hello everybody. So, this takes the cake. The long sought after question by vegans has finally been answered. That question is, of course, what is the smartest, most bulletproof, most watertight argument against veganism? People have hypothesized for years. Is it, plants feel pain though? Is it, but lions eat meat though? Maybe it could even be, but it's not illegal to eat meat. Vegans have even tried to synthesize their own carnist arguments under laboratory conditions to try and scientifically uncover the most rational anti-vegan argument hypothetically imaginable. But the truth is, it's not any of these. Ladies and gentlemen, animal rights advocates edit slaughterhouse footage, though, is officially the best anti-vegan argument ever. In fact, it might legitimately be the greatest example of argumentation ever conceived by humankind. And of course, I'm joking. This argument, if you can even call it that, fails at literally every single level ever. It is entirely based off of extremely stupid premises. The first premise is that we should be taking the word of farmers over the word of animal rights activists if our goal is to maximize animal rights and welfare. Okay, listen. The incentive of farmers is to make money by exploiting animals. Spin it however you want. That is literally, objectively, logically true. The incentive of animal rights and welfare activists is to protect animal rights and welfare. Who are you going to intrinsically trust more when it comes to protecting animal rights and welfare? Farmers have an extremely clear conflict of interest, both in the way that they want to preserve their way of living and occupation, and in the way that they just want to make money. What conflict of interest can animal rights and welfare activists possibly have, period, that would also impede our goal of trying to maximize animal rights and welfare? What conflicts of interest would we even have? We weren't born vegan, and we're not being paid any money to do this, unlike, again, animal farmers. Secondly, it's not even like you have to decide whose word to take on this. Video evidence is much stronger evidence than just what a farmer tells you. That's not even evidence. The farmers could very well be lying, and as I just explained, they have a strong incentive to. Even if you're going to say, well, I visited the farmer and he was just petting his animals and treating them nicely and even giving them little scratches. Yeah, did you see the part where he rapes them? If you ever want to see a clown show in real life for free, then just go and ask a backyard farmer about artificial insemination. They will come up with the most insane justifications for rape that you have ever heard in your entire life. And remember, even if the justification makes sense, it would also just justify fucking the cow with your penis. Or a cat or a dog as well. Let's not be speciesist here. What about the part where he kills the male calves and chicks? Additionally, you're even cherry-picking the backyard farmer idea. Even in the framework of the delusion that this is morally acceptable to farm animals in your backyard or whatever, there's no way that someone can actually think that this is how the majority of farms are run. You ever heard of factory farms for once? So this means that you're going to have to exclusively justify animal product consumption and farming within these extremely limited conditions, meaning that you're actually agreeing with vegans in virtually every single case. Also, even if you somehow don't believe footage, and I'll get to that, there are places where you can go and literally hear the screams of animals from the outside as they're being horrifically abused and murdered. Is that fake too? Maybe the animal rights activists are following you around and strategically place their speakers, which contain deep fake pig screaming audios, where they know that you're going to walk, because they're being paid off by the government due to lobbying from Oatly. These animal rights activists, are they in the room with us right now? Alright, let's get into the meat of this idea. Is this footage really deceptively edited or shot? First of all, footage of animal murder dates all the way back to 1930 and has been continuously released since then. These clips are often several minutes long and are uncut and depict horrific suffering and death. If this footage is faked, then it can only mean one of two things. One is that it could have been shortened to remove context. Well, I'm all for context, but what fucking context can you add to justify some of this shit? Actually, all of this shit. And again, to remind you, you can find videos that are several minutes long and are uncut. And two, the only other thing that it could mean is that this footage was deep-faked. Deepfakes are pretty easy to spot even in the year 2023, and again, slaughterhouse footage has been continuously released basically since 1930. Dominion was released in 2018. Has the government been hiding secret deepfake technology from the people for up to 100 years because they're in bed with Big Broccoli? If you're seriously making this claim that animal rights activists edit footage, do you have any evidence whatsoever? By the way, also saying, but it could have been shot at a weird angle isn't an argument. That's just complete nonsense. Can you even show me one frame in Dominion, for example, that was deceptively edited? Of course you can't, because none exist. Here's another question. If slaughterhouses are so great and so nice and so humane even, why aren't farmers filming it themselves and then releasing the footage to the public? Why is it activists every single time? And what do we find every single time? Horrific suffering and death. Also, what the fuck could be in the actual slaughterhouse footage that even justifies murdering animals? Even granting all of this nonsense that animals are treated well and there's no culling of male chicks and there's no rape and whatever, and that, you know, they don't feel pain or whatever, and let's just even grant the delusion that it's like, oh, they just have like one bad day, they get like shot in the back of the head. In that context, it's not even ethical because you're still robbing someone of the right to life when they want to live and they're a sentient being with their own subjective experience. I try to give the benefit of the doubt to people who make arguments. Good people can do bad things, and in that same way, smart people can make stupid arguments. But if you've ever made the statement seriously that animal rights activists edit footage in a deceptive manner, it genuinely reflects poorly on your character and or intelligence. If you've said this before, seriously, you should apologize to who you've said it to for wasting their time. The idea that slaughterhouse footage is deceptively edited is insane. It's an illogical conspiracy theory with no evidence, and even if it was true, carnism would still be extremely unethical. It is basically as far from the truth and reason as you can possibly get in every way. And the people who make this claim know this. If they didn't, they would provide even a tiny shred of evidence that even one frame in Dominion, that YouTube video, Dairy's Scary, etc., is deceptively edited. But they don't. Prove me wrong, alright? Send me an email in my email in the description showing one frame or a moment in one of these movies or videos that's just deceptively edited, that if it was properly edited with context or whatever, would just like justify needlessly murdering an animal. This is why this bullshit pisses me off so much. I for one, remember when carnist arguments were even remotely reasonable. It was back in like 2018 through 2019. Of course, there still wasn't even one valid carnist argument because you just straight up can't morally justify needlessly inflicting mass amounts of suffering and death on innocent sentient beings with a will to live. Just by definition, you can't morally justify consistently something that's immoral. But at least their arguments had some kind of logic, even though they were ultimately illogical, and carnists at least attempted to provide some sort of evidence to back up their claims, even if it was bad evidence. Look at where we are now. I'm just so sick of hearing plants feel pain, dietary cholesterol doesn't elevate serum cholesterol, All studies are from the government who wants to make us weak. Veganism is a cult. Animal rights advocates deceptively edit slaughterhouse footage. Make carnism great again. I should put that on a t-shirt. Or just stop making up bullshit excuses and go vegan. Thanks for watching.